Welcome to WickersonStudios again. This is a new series. It's a basic introductory series for anyone that I'm intent on teaching, and they have an interest in Rhino and certainly Grasshopper. For Rhino, a algorithmic modeling system that will allow you to think a little differently um, when it comes to building and working in Rhino, if that's your choice of modeling software. What I have here is I've set my Rhino up. Basically, I've opened it up. It's Windows. If I do have it open on my Mac, I usually make it look like Windows by going into the File and Properties and make a change to that. The first thing you're going to want to do is probably go into File and Properties like I just did and have a look through all of these Rhino options and Document Properties. Start to wrap your head around it. You don't have to understand any of it, but start to tune your eyes to it. Another thing on the screen to look at are these four screens that you have. You've got your perspective window that you can navigate. Get into your mouse, learn a little bit of your shifts, your scroll key, your orientation, keeping an idea on the world plane. Also know the top view is organizable like that. Front view and right view can be scrolled in and out. There are many options when you go in here and take a look at set view. You have many more options to view things, but I would keep it basically perspective, top, front, and right. That said, command line is what I like to work from the most. Two of my biggest tabs that I like to keep up here are standard, because mainly what I use on here, if I go down, you can move these around like this, but I like to leave my visibility here. I've got some prepared geometry, which I pulled from over here on this on this shelf kind of image table bar, which is on the side, and I mix up my terminology all the time. But basically, if I expose everything that I have there, you can see very quickly by going into standard and right-clicking on Zoom Extends All, everything comes into the frame of where it needs to be. You also will get into the habit of going in here and choosing to use shaded on a lot of things that you're doing. You may go into render at some point later on, but what I prefer is to set this one to technical. I like to run this one down to pen for some reason, and I like to run this one into artistic. You don't have to do that, but I like it's a nice view of what you're working on and seeing. I don't usually leave it all in there while I'm working, but I'm going to pop my little face up here to the corner. That's something I do. Over here, I like to have also a system where I can extend out, and I want my properties here so I know what I'm looking at. I like to deal in layers. You want to become accustomed to using that in time. As you bake things from Grasshopper, you want to put them on different layers as they come in as groups or independently. You'll want to deal with some rendering as you go through here, and you'll want to play with some materials when you actually want to do some pretty cool objects, get into different things that you can actually make and play off of chrome, copper, gold, glass, air, all those wonderful things. Help menu is wonderful to leave up, because if you're doing anything in Rhino and you type something in this line and say box, as soon as you type in box over here and hit enter, over here in the help menu, you're going to go over, it's going to jump right into box. This is something that Grasshopper doesn't have, but it's something that makes the interface in Rhino. Don't waste your time in here making all of these geometries. I'd rather have you in Grasshopper generate every single thing from the math, from the point backwards into the maths and logic. You're going to find that's what I do. For this first demo, however, I did bring in things like on this side, and why I set this shelf up on Windows, and you can do it with Windows so it actually pairs these items against each other. You've got a select tool. You've got your point tools, which is exactly what I did here with this point. I brought in a point, and there it is. You're going to get into undo with a Z, Control Z, and Control Y on Windows to bring it back. And so there's the point, and there's the point disappears. You can move it around after. I brought in a curve here by using Curve Tool and Straight Line Tool. I then brought in, I didn't bring any arches, but I didn't bring in a rectangle. I actually skipped down through a few of these geometries that deal in polylines and polycurves and things like that. Basically, I went right down onto surface forms, and I drew in a surface. If they have these little tiny wedges down here on the side, these triangles in the corner, you can right click on those and it'll give you quite a bit of options. You can actually pull those out and have them right on your desktop if you want to work with them up here, and then disappear and put them back in. So you're going to deal with points, lines, surfaces, and then get into solids. And I did draw up a couple of solids here. I drew in a box going into here by just clicking it, and then I actually brought in a box and a cylinder to show you that not only this surface and then surface tools that you can use, you have box and then you have box tools. So if I went in here and I right-clicked and I chose a Boolean difference, I could select my first object, hit enter, always reading your command line in full detail, what's to be minus from it, and now you have a very interesting B rep. There it is. After that, you've got join, paired against explode, You've got trim against slicing. You've got grouping objects against ungrouping objects. You've got show curves on point, and you've got show control points, which is amazing as well to deal with the control factor of NURBS curves. You can get into text if you like. You can get into some of the tools of move, some transformations, some rotations, and some scaling. So that's going to get into geometries later on. But I want you to stay focused on these top ones, the very simplest of things. You've got your scale 3D. You've got your analyze, which is an interesting thing to take a look at. Rectangular arrays, align objects, flow along surfaces, check objects for, again, kind of like analysis, and then defining blocks. If you end up start working with blocks and thinking of things coming together, a history setting is pretty cool because that's mainly the basics of working down here and record history is something that sets itself up for what Grasshopper was invented for. That's a lot of information right now. We're already above 5 minutes. I've shown you what to put in this corner over here on layers. Down here, you're going to have your object selects. You're going to have your grid snaps, your ortho, XYZ, your planar, your object snaps, a smart track if you want on or off, a grid snap if you want on or off, a gumball if you want it on or off. You can do amazing things with this gumball tool. Control, select, edit, and grab things and move edges and points and vertices and sides and deal in meshes. You've got your record history, which we're not going to get into because I'm going to go right into Grasshopper. But I think basically you're set up here choosing what's on, what's off. You can disable this off, or you can actually just, I believe, I think it's Alt. Oh, what is it? Yeah, Alt will just disable it temporarily, or maybe it's the which one is it? I don't even remember which one disables as the hotkey, but either way, you can click it off to take those off and take them on for object snaps. That's about all I need to know about Rhino to get into Grasshopper. It's a lot in 6-7 minutes, but we will continue and jump in with these geometries and show you what you can do in Grasshopper and get going. The less you do in Rhino, the better it seems to be for Grasshopper and learning it. So that said, I'm going to be probably doing a full screen perspective window, and then I'll open up my Grasshopper and bring it over. We're going to go and do another video after this. I hope that wasn't too fast and too chaotic, but things to get you started in Rhino and then getting you into the Grasshopper window. Probably what I should have done is closed out my Grasshopper and shown you how to load it up, but I'll do that in the next video. Thanks for watching.